This is the Page Publishing Book Club. How you doing? I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. The stories of people who come to America to find success are inspirational and moving. Here's one that further reinforces the remarkable contributions immigrants make to America every single day.
Hello, Alice. This is Elian Baltodano. First and foremost, thank you for this opportunity. I was born in Nicaragua, Managua. The capital is the land I grew up. I went to school, worked for Standard Oil, got married, started a family, attended law school, came on vacation to the United States, and I'm still on vacation. My family and I arrived to this country in 1979. I retired from Chevron Corporation as a human resources business partner after many years with this great company. After my retirement from Chevron, I continued staying busy, playing the piano, teaching Spanish as a volunteer to adults in a community center, supporting a foundation in Nicaragua called Pan y Amor. I also speak up on behalf of Nicaragua via my channel in YouTube. I am introverted, I'm shy and cautious with a bunch of wants and wishes. Anytime I'm writing, I feel empowered. I had moments where I had the desire to tell my story and to put on paper what was vibrating in my mind. I had the desire to share my story so that others can learn from my joy, my sorrows, and my achievements. I wanted to encourage others that despite adversities that might get in the way, a good life is possible. We left Nicaragua with the illusion that it was going to be just a 3-week vacation, as on previous years, but we did not return. The moment when we realized that there was no return was one of the most difficult part of my journey. My husband was an attorney. He had a political position in Nicaragua as a district attorney. And because of that, working for the previous government, he would have been in trouble. And he was advised by a friend from the American embassy who he was working in Nicaragua, providing some legal counseling that it was better not to go back. So that's when we decided not to return to Nicaragua. It was a major problem because I had to learn a new language. I had to adjust to the culture. I have to raise 5 daughters, 4 who were born in Nicaragua, and the 5th one who was born in California. And in California, Alice, we don't build walls. We build bridges. And California was the bridge for me and my family. And my book, Alice, will not change poverty, war, or hate. But my story coincides with the immigration situation that is becoming inhuman to so many families trying to come to the United States. I want to resonate with my readers that we all face challenges and risks, and we do things that we never thought we could have done. I believe that positive or negative events happen for a reason, and many times for good. My book was initially written for my daughters, but also I'm trying to reach those who have forgotten that this country is a country of immigrants. Those immigrants who are not the enemy, they in fact are running away from the enemy who is oppressing them. They're looking for a place where they can grow, prosper, and rest. And their only desire is to stay alive and to build a house and a home. They're doing what our first pilgrims did and what many of us have done. And finally, this book is dedicated to the memory of my late husband, Francisco, who always supported my dreams and goals. He passed away in 2000 of cancer. But when he passed away, he went to heaven happy that I was in a safe place.
Elian, thank you so much for reminding us that without immigrants, there wouldn't be an America. Hey, leave it to your grandkids to encourage you to fulfill a childhood dream of traveling to a faraway world to meet elves and dragons and watch a young woman grow into a powerful goddess who unites her people. This is the dream that became the book, Ayla's Fate.
Hi, my name is Ayla McCloud. I live in Reeseville, Ohio, out in the country. The book that I wrote was Ayla's Fate. When I was a young girl, I had always dreamed that there was other worlds, and I guess I had a really overactive imagination, and I had always wanted to be able to see like people shift into dragons and to other characters and kind of work together as unit bond. So that kind of led me to write the book. The main character's name is Aya, and she is a princess who was exiled from her world to Earth, and she was kidnapped and taken back to Outworld, where she realizes that that's where she's from. And her job was to break the curse of her people. And when she started pulling all of her people back to Outworld, she realized that they had some really outdated customs and some things that was harboring them from being able to become a race of people that is united. So it's her job to lift the curse by bringing her people together to fight the evil that has divided them. So as she's growing and Aya's getting her powers and she's growing into herself and she's getting her memories of her childhood, and she starts preparing her people for war. And in doing that, she has to stop the division. So the dragons are no longer with the dragon clan. The wolves are no longer with the wolf clan. They all have to be united in order to break the curse. So as she's growing and into her position as the princess, she steps up and becomes queen of the people and unites them to go against the evil. So book one, Aya has brought her people home, and she has the first part of the curse lifted. Book two will be coming out shortly, where she'll be bringing the elves and the mer people back home to Outworld. And they are still working on pulling enough of the forces to go against the evil god, Niburi.
Your characters must be so much fun to look at.
She's growing. She is learning that as a human, her concept of life and reality is different than her concept of what it is to become the queen and to pull her people together. She sees that division and diversity has to be the forefront. So she is basically creating her home of Outworld all over. And she is growing into a young mother, becoming her own goddess line. So she has a lot of human traits, but she's not exactly human. So
very creative. So how are you telling people about this?
Currently, I have been marketing through Goodreads, and we had right before all of this craziness with COVID started, I had like 15 book signings, London and LA and New York. Things have been put kind of hold there. I do social media. I have a Facebook page, Ayla McCloud, on Instagram under Ayla McCloud, and I have my own Twitter account and a YouTube channel as well. I tweet out, and on Goodreads, I hold a blog, and on my website, I've been holding events where we've been doing giveaways and drawings and keeping people engaged. And I've been working with a group of authors and dancers against cancer. We put that on hold until next year as well. So it'll be coming right back along as soon as, everything gets lifted for everyone.
Yeah, that's right. It will. Great work, by the way, with the social media. Something more horrifying than drug trafficking? Human trafficking. Our next author worked 25 years as an undercover detective and ran undercover ops along the southwestern border. He paints a very sad picture in The Shadow Wolves.
Hi, my name's Jake Kaminski. I'm the author of the book Shadow Wolves. I'm a retired undercover cop from Miami. Decided to write this book about the drug cartels in Mexico and to touch on one of the areas that they get involved, which is human trafficking. So the story pretty much surrounds a group of Mexican drug traffickers who are trying to move a group of trafficked young women to be sold into slavery in the United States. The main characters in the book are Native Americans. They're a special squad of trackers that work the Mexican border to track the cartels as they go across the desert lands along the Arizona-Mexican border.
What is it about these traffickers that we don't know?
It's funny, when I wrote the book, I based it a little bit on life's experience because I ran undercover teams out of South Florida and Miami into South America, and I got to know what the drug traffickers were like firsthand, and not just the people that are running small loads. I got to really investigate the bigger cartels in Colombia, the Cali and Medellin cartels. So I thought I had sort of a look inside of their brains, at least of the big drug lords and what made them tick. And so I thought that I could apply that to show what's going on, and the fact that the Mexican cartels are maybe even more vicious than the Colombian cartels. And I wanted to show what things they were involved in, not only trafficking billions of dollars of fentanyl and heroin into the United States, but also trafficking young women that they were being sold into sexual slavery.
Where do these young women end up?
They end up in cities all over the United States being forced to perform sexual acts, everything from working in massage parlors to actually working as prostitutes. The story opens actually 20 years ago in the Balkan Wars because I got to witness what had happened there. And it's a young Native American scout for a ranger company that sees some of the genocide in Bosnia. And then 20 years later, one of his commanders is now with Homeland Security. And he says, I need a special squad because they're so invasive in the vast desert of the Southwest America that will set up this squad of Native American trackers that can follow them anywhere. And I kind of based it on a real team that actually exists down there. Fictionalized it entirely, of course, but I tried to keep the spirit of the Native American, some of their cultural traditions and the skill set that they bring, which is quite extraordinary. Two of my characters are Apache women, and they emerged as I wrote the story as some of the readers' favorites, and they're supremely tough. They can follow the bad guys through the desert, and I kind of based them loosely on real people. So these two women have really, they almost stole the show from the main character, and the show they're working in the workplace. It's historically a masculine profession, working the border and stuff, and how good they are and how tough they are and how fiercely proud they are that they're Apache versus any other tribe. Not that they don't like the other tribes, but they're so fiercely proud of their heritage in those desert mountains. In the sequel that I'm just about finishing, I remember one of the dialogue, it still sticks to me because one of the other guys in the squad said, our water supply is running low. And then she just looked at him. He says, what do you think? She says, Apaches never run out of water. And I mean, it's really true when I did the research on them, how they were able to survive when no one else could, and it's been fun. And some of the characters I've really enjoyed writing. I don't know if I didn't sell a book, I think I've had so much fun writing it that it hasn't made any difference to me. So, I mean, I hope as people read this, they'll start to realize the extent of this problem. And you know what? I wrote the book trying to be apolitical because I know that the Mexican border right now is such a hot topic issue with both Democrats and Republicans. So I tried to forget about that. I just tried to talk about what's really happening, the real bad guys, the cartels, the sociopaths, the people that kill 20, 30 people at a crack and just leave a killing field along the border or hang bodies from bridges in Juarez, all those things that they do. I want to just show them the sociopathic behavior of these people, that they don't care what happens to anybody so they can make money. And I think I was able to show that. And I think that so far the critical reviews have been pretty good, and people are saying they really could tell that it's based upon real stuff. And I did try to keep it that way. I toned down a little of violence because I didn't want this to be unreadable, but I tried to still keep it real. We've gotten some really good critical reviews from, I got one from Joe Pistone, the famous guy, Donnie Brasco, best-selling author. And I've gotten a lot of other reviews that have been quite good. I mean, to me, I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, you never know when you write your first book.
That's right, Jake. You never know. We got to take a quick break, but we're coming right back. This is the Page Publishing Book Club.
Attention all authors. Page Publishing is looking for authors. Have you written a book and want to get it published? Page Publishing will get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, Apple iTunes, and other outlets. They handle all aspects of the publishing process for you: printing, cover art, publicity, copyright, and editing. Call 800-204-6099 now for your free author submission kit. That's 800-204-6099 for your free author submission kit.
We're back on the Page Publishing Book Club. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini. Let's talk about a life straight out of the Wild Wild West. Justice or injustice, you decide. The true life of Big Jim Pittman, who after years of keeping his real life secret, even from his wife and family, he finally draws back the curtain.
My name is Jim Pittman. I live in Toms River, New Jersey. I wrote my autobiography, which is called Justice or Injustice, You Decide. It's an autobiography, not a novel. My children, when they were small, knew that their father was a little different than the average person, so they asked me who I was. And when I couldn't tell them, I decided to write a book because they need to know. My book is about my younger years being transported from Jersey to Florida, getting in trouble down there, juvenile delinquency, much trouble. Went to prison, done some time, got out, got married, and then I got hired by a group of people to administer vigilante justice, which I did from 1969 to 1981, making an enormous amount of money and bringing justice to people who thought they were above and beyond the law. I got out of that, actually 85 altogether, and I started preaching the Word of God. And right now I go from church to church, city to city, and I convince atheists that there's a real God, and I do a good job at it. But that's basically the outline of the book. My kids, 30 years ago is when they asked me who I was, and then it took me the rest of that time all the way up to about 4 years ago when we started rewriting the manuscript and got it down to 360 pages. And now it's took off. All the bookstores have sold out, and they're waiting for more. And I'm just riding this wave, and when I get enough money from the royalties, I'll be buying me a Mini Winnie and going on the road, preaching from church to church all over the United States. That's what I want to do until I die.
When you say you delivered vigilante justice, who did you do it for?
You have to understand loyalty now. Hold on. Come in! It wasn't sanctioned by the government or the law, no.
Okay.
There's people out there that love to cheat, steal, lie, connive, hurt other people, and then thumb their nose at them and say, nah, 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 nah. The law can't touch me. You can't touch me. You don't have a receipt. You don't have a witness. I can do what I want, when I want, and how I want, and I can cheat you and do whatever I feel like, and you can't touch me. Well, there's an organization that don't like that, and they hired me. I had one contact, like a little mini Mission Impossible. I hurt people. I hurt a lot of people. I administered justice. I've shot people. Yeah, I shot people, but not in the point where they died. Never got caught for that, any of it, because I'm professional. And my contact suddenly died from a brain aneurysm. They came and wanted to bring me back in to do some more jobs. And I backed away and backed away and backed away and done every possible wiggle I could. And they finally decided, okay, leave him alone. But word of mouth is just spread like a brush fire.
All right, Big Jim, I believe you. Imagine looking forward to a nice, quiet weekend, and it gets interrupted by sunbursts and aliens. I mean, after the year we've had, think about it. Anything's possible. And it all unfolds in Shimmer.
Hi, my name is Cameron Sims. I'm the author of the book called Shimmer. I'm from Fox Lake, Wisconsin. Unfortunately, I was one of the people that lost my job during this COVID, so I've turned myself strictly to writing right now.
What'd you do for a living?
I was a shipping and receiving clerk.
And that job's not coming back, huh?
No, they shut us down and sold the business right out from under us.
Jeez.
Yeah, they called us in for a meeting and took like 5 people out of the room and got rid of everybody else. That's when I started writing my second novel, and I'm actually in the process of putting the final touches on that one as we speak. So
what inspired Shimmer?
My mom used to listen to me read books to my kids. And anybody who's had kids know you end up reading certain books over and over and over. But I got tired of that, and I started making up stories as I went along. And my mom heard me doing that, and she says, you got to do something with it. She got me a little word processor and wrote like 4 books out in a couple hours. 2 children's books in about an hour. Third and the fourth one were just a couple of short stories that have been in my head for a long time. One of them happened to be Shimmer. My wife took and sent it into Kindle, and I didn't know about it. And Kindle had said, hey, you could make this a novel. We'd publish this. Well, I'd never done that, so I was really struggling. And I talked to a couple of my author friends who said, just write what you know. And then it just all of a sudden just poured out of me. The main characters are Mike and Shelley, their husband and wife. They have plans for a big weekend, kids and that kind of thing. But, they usually have a cup of coffee or something out on their porch in the morning, and they watch their little town wake up and go by, And the conflict that they have is that their children have decided, it's the weekend, they're all going to go take off and go do what they got to do. The son is a gamer, so he's with his friends. The daughter is with her friends shopping, doing what girls do. But this was written back when the malls were still kind of open, And then, of course, his older son is off doing his thing. He doesn't see him much anyway. The conflict is that they don't know what's going on, because when these waves of plasma start caressing our Earth, they're taking out TV, radio. They're taking out the satellites. It's all been interrupted. So basically, at one point, the world is going dark, and it comes in waves. It comes back. You'll get power, and then it'll be gone again. You get power, and it'll be gone again. So when these aliens start crash landing onto the ground, people, naturally want to know what's going on. So instead of running away, a lot of people will have a tendency to go out and say, hey, let's go check this out. And that's when the real stuff starts happening. People get killed, let's put it that way, in gruesome fashion.
And somehow they have to fight back?
Well, they're trying, but there really is no fight back to it. It is an apocalyptic ending for humanity.
Okay, great. Something to look forward to. Thanks, Cameron. And what's really interesting is that comment about malls. Can you imagine one day having to explain to your kid or grandkid what malls were? All right. Our next two books were written by the same author. After years as the owner of an engineering company that designed elevators and escalators, he turns his attention to the healing power of touch in The Third Scroll.
My name is William Newby. I was born in Dundee, Angus, Scotland in 1941. I have always been interested in writing. My grandfather was a poet. About 15 years ago, I began writing the story of a healing nun, which began my writing of The Third Scroll. I've not only wanted to express the historical aspects of healing, the religious aspects of healing, and the message that has been part of my efforts over the many years. The sense of touch is the most important of our senses and can deliver love, healing, and an understanding of each other. First, it begins by the discovery of the scroll by a fellow in Long Island. It shifts back to a time about 46 AD, during which time the young man Dacus receives the scrolls from a man in white and what appears to be St. Paul. He delivers the scrolls to places throughout the world, and it categorizes his travels and his life. The subsequent chapters explain what happens to the scrolls and how they eventually get into the hands of the people of today. The main characters are doctors of the present day, nurses of the present day, and of course the several characters that have advanced the finding of the third scroll throughout. It's an inspirational document that quite often causes all kinds of emotion to exist. It's an extremely emotional story and a lot of intrigue, because there are people who are trying to get the scrolls through nefarious acts. So it's a mixture of history, drama, and intrigue, and a whole lot of love. The third scroll is an understanding of the curative values of touch and the lessons, the gift that was given to us to employ that touch to help people cure themselves or deliver messages between them. So it's a message that we have received these gifts, presumably from God, and they're still alive and well today.
All right. So we are talking to William Newby, author of The Third Scroll. And the next book he's going to share with us is entitled The Saturner Conspiracy.
The Saturner Conspiracy, on the other hand, is kind of an extension. It's using many of the same characters, but it is more in terms of the pharmaceutical efforts on behalf of fighting diseases. It starts off with the discovery of heroin by William Saturner in the 1800s. Extends through discoveries that were made in the Brazilian area, the Amazon Valley, and talks about chemicals that were dangerous to human beings that were implemented in various drugs that even today, they're not habit forming, they're not addictive. However, they do have qualities that cause them to have after effect if you don't continue to take them. And these products have been advanced by many pharmaceutical companies to keep you taking the drugs rather than curing anything. It's a story of a lot of intrigue and about the pharmaceutical companies. It's an exposure of some of the efforts that pharmaceutical companies have used through the years. And it winds up with the solution to many, many crimes that are conducted throughout this particular book. The Saturna Conspiracy is a warning that our drug companies are not interested in cures. If you develop a pill that cures people, it's the end of your profit. If you develop drugs, however, where you need to take them over and over and over again, it's a profit center for the pharmaceutical companies. Right. Basically, they're not interested in cures. Nobody's interested in a cure. They're interested in treatment because treatment is profitable. Right. Cures are not. And so that message should be delivered and recognized.
All right. Thank you, William. Some food for thought there. I mean, I think the possibility of drug companies wanting to keep us medicated more than they want to cure us has been raised before, and it's certainly something to consider. And we're out of here. That's it for this edition of the Page Publishing Book Club. Thank you so much for joining us if you're right here, right now. We really appreciate that. And thanks to our authors for once again giving us some great ideas on how to promote books during a pandemic. If you missed anything, you know where to go. 710WOR.com. Download the podcast. And in the meantime, you stay safe and start writing. I'm Alice Stockton Rossini.